All right. Welcome back, everybody, to Transatlantic MMA. As discussed from a couple of close friends of ours that are now calling it the Trans podcast. It is not a trans podcast. It is about MMA. So we maybe should have thought about our name in a little bit more detail, at least our Twitter handle. Yes, welcome back. You are not going to be listening to anything trans related. It will be MMA related.
Well, you
Not to
never
say
know.
that we don't want to talk about trans things.
Yeah, you
Yeah,
never know.
yeah. Who knows? I mean, Ben has talked about potentially moving over. So yeah, I mean, we all support it. We just don't know if he's going to do it or not. So
You
we'll
going
tell, I
red in the
suppose.
face, bro. You embarrassed.
Oh yeah, it's warm in here.
It wasn't warm in there a few minutes ago.
Yeah, it was. What are you talking about? Anyway, honestly, I'm heating up. I'm swelling up because we should, both of us, as well as another couple of our good friends, should be pre-drinking for what would have been one of the best cards that we were ever about to see live. Yeah, four of us had tickets for the original 249 card, so very depressing day for both of us. Ben would have flown over here with one of the other boys from Dublin, Niall McKenna, shout out.
What
Would have
time is it there
been
by you? We would have been. Is it like two, half two?
Yeah,
Oh yeah,
it's
sure.
half past two. So
We would
I
have
mean,
landed yesterday. We would have landed yesterday. We would have
we,
been. Yeah, we would have been
we
on. We would have been pretty much leaving to start heading down there, right? So,
yeah, we would have been, I would imagine, relatively drunk by now, probably rewatching every one of the main cards, previous events. Yeah, so very, very disappointing. Thanks, COVID. Fuck's sake. Um, yeah, anyway, so we have potential fights to look forward to anyway, which is some good news. I don't know. I mean, after 249, I don't know. I feel like booking anything right now is very much like, you got to follow it on a day-to-day basis. You can't really get too excited for it. So what are your thoughts? Is it going to happen, UFC 250, even though 249, the rebooking of 249 didn't go ahead? What are your thoughts?
I don't. I don't know. I don't know. I saw Trump's press conference about opening the country back up again. So I thought it was interesting that he was like, basically, if we keep the economy shut down, the amount of death and poverty and suicide and everything comparatively to that of COVID-19 would be much higher. So we need to basically shelter the elderly and get back to normality. Otherwise the country will end up in riots, I'd say, because no one has any money. They're not getting their claims. The claims aren't enough or whatever. It's probably pretty similar in most countries. But I found that interesting. But I think that coupled with the fact that WWE got approved as essential business or something in Florida last week. So, yeah, I mean, if WWE can get approved to do their show behind closed doors in Florida, then the UFC could theoretically do the exact same thing in the exact same state. So,
That's just you've seen all the like Florida man headlines. I would imagine, right? That
no,
is like the most Florida man headline that you can make. Like, the fucking governance in Florida decided that the WWE is an essential necessity that people have to. It's so fucking ridiculous. So Florida. Anyway, yeah, for you and for anyone else who hasn't Googled Florida man with your birthday, check it out because you will find all sorts of different headlines associated to that because Florida's batshit crazy. But yeah, I mean,
naked
look, the
Florida man
longer
starts house fire while baking cookies on. This is on my birthday. Oh, site blocked. How's the site blocked? This is my fucking laptop. Blocked by security rules.
all right, well, anyway, what were we saying?
Florida
Yeah,
man
so
throws urine on prosecutor during sentencing.
yeah,
Fair enough.
honestly, there's at least one every single day. That was a big thing over here for a while. Anyway, yeah, I mean, I get it to a certain degree. The country can't shut down, but I think this is just going to keep coming in waves. So, every single time it's like, okay, we're starting to flatten the curve. Let's send people back to work. There'll just be another big spike. So it's like, where do you draw the line? How do you try and balance this out? obviously the country needs to get back up and running at some point, but you know, how many more people are going to die? So yeah, it's tough to see. The only issue with it is he's probably doing it with the re-election coming up, because if this works and they send people back to work and you know some sort of normalcy kind of comes back into society, then he looks like a genius. But if it doesn't, and more people die from it, or the second wave is even worse, then he's completely shooting himself in the foot. But anyway, I think the potential of UFC 250 now going ahead is, I still think it's a bit of a long shot, but yeah. Anyway,
I don't.
let's talk about.
I think it'll happen. I think it'll happen. I think the UFC have to get it to happen from a financial standpoint because of that price tag, that 4.4 billion price tag. I think if they if their revenue streams are paused for too long, they'll go belly up, and there's no way Dana fucking White is letting that happen. So, I think it's very likely that it happens, but behind closed doors, or maybe on Fight Island, wherever Fight Island is, or maybe in Florida, or they'll figure something out. Definitely, I think they'll. Yeah. I'd be shocked. But pretty much everyone on the card is an American fighter or an American-based fighter, so
yeah,
it's happening in America somewhere. Because
well,
no one can leave America yet, right? When's that? When are they lifting the travel bans?
I have no idea about that. I mean, there was like what they came out with reopening America or whatever it was called. There was like 3 phases, and phase 1 is still very much like, you know, companies are still encouraged to work remotely. It's more, you know, essential workers kind of going back to work rather than being unemployed or filing for unemployment. Yeah, we'll see. Yeah, there's a, you know, they could make it work. I feel like the more and more testing that comes, the less tone deaf it'll be. You know, if testing's like very much available for everyone, then they can do that with everyone on the card and it not be a big deal. You know, whereas like there's a lot of people still now that are saying like, oh, I've got a cold or whatever, and I wasn't able to get tested, or people saying only the rich can get tested. So if Dana were to do that, in the middle of that, it would just be like, what, so regular people, normal people can't get tested for this, but like you're just going to send fighters who are going to be bleeding and sweating all over each other to go and get tested, to put more kind of strain on the healthcare system right now. But it's readily available across the country, it probably won't be such a bad thing, or such a big thing. So yeah, there's definitely, I mean, yeah, I think in a few weeks' time we'll probably have a better idea. It's booked for what, May 9th, UFC 250?
Yeah.
So there is
so 3 weeks.
So
from, 3 weeks from today, I think.
Yeah.
I can't wait. I need some violence in my life. I just need sports. I need sports in general, and I haven't gone looking up chess or bowling or anything like that. But I need some sports. I'm sick of watching fucking fight reruns and rugby matches I've already seen, and you know, goal highlights and American football top 100s, and I'm fucking sick of it. Bring the fight card on, please, Dana White. Get it done. We should say.
I'm sure he's going to be listening to Ben Doyle on Transatlantic MMA. I'm sure he's definitely going to take you into consideration.
Get it done, Uncle D. I think it
will be nice.
It's worth saying here. We have a couple of little updates for anyone that's a returning listener. Fair fucking play to you if you are. There's probably plenty wrong with you. You're probably in the right place if you're listen this much of the second episode. Appreciate my sound quality mightn't be the best. I think my laptop is a bit of a piece of shit, so I've ordered a headset with a little microphone, so that should improve. We have downloaded a video editor. We're trying to figure out how the fuck it works, and that might take a few weeks, but you can expect the video quality to improve. What else? Guests. Booked guests. Well, not booked guests. Obviously, we're just getting this off the ground, so we don't have necessarily a schedule or whatever, but we're going to try and stick to getting these up every Saturday, moving forward every Saturday evening. We have reached out to Neil reached out to Truck Gordon and on Twitter, who's an ex-UFC fighter. He's a tough contestant. He's confirmed that he'll come on the podcast, which is amazing. And I reached out to Tom Egan, who is the first Irish MMA fighter to ever fight in the UFC. The majority of fans in Ireland probably showed up when when McGregor was around, and they've no idea who Tom Egan is, but those hardcores like myself will never forget. He was the first man to compete. It was UFC 93, I think, and he lost the fight. Unfortunately, he got I think he got TKO'd by John Hathaway, who was John Hathaway was a rising English prospect at the time. He was a fucking animal. That's the guy that got lost by spinning back elbow KO by Don Young Kim. But but he's an Irish MMA pioneer. You know, before the McGregor and John Kavanagh era, he used to train with them. Lives in Boston now. I think he's a full-time coach and stuff. So he's gonna come on in the next couple of weeks, which is amazing. So I'm just delighted that we get to talk to people like this, and hopefully we'll keep the guests coming and build up a bit of momentum and eventually get some be able to get some perhaps regular guests or people that might check back in. So yeah, just a couple of FYIs there for anyone. So yeah,
the two of us are going to be like little fangirls, when we get the opportunity to speak with these people. So yeah, very, very exciting. Truck Gordon followed me randomly on Twitter like a year and a half ago, whatever. I was like, holy shit, this fucking Truck Gordon just followed me. I chatted with him a bit, asked him if he would be okay with hopping on a podcast for 10, 15 minutes. He was like, yeah, man, hit me up. So, yeah, we will definitely be trying to book that into the calendar as quickly as possible. So, that's an exciting time for us, particularly early on in our podcast careers.
Yeah, it's good to have people of substance basically coming on and bringing some weight with them. So it's good. So obviously we've got the Twitter and the Instagram going. Early doors on both, but we're trying to lift this, get this thing moving. So we said we'd try and wait a couple of weeks, so as at least we have a couple of followers here and there, and so add some decent in YouTube content before we get these people on, so they're not like the first episodes, that kind of way. So we don't know.
We're losing viewers and fucking followers right now listening to us talk shit. So let's talk about the fights. Come on, let's get into it.
Well, what's the story with this hat on your head, by the way? Just
the hat on my head is.
Let's address the elephant in the room.
It's simply to cover my ridiculous fucking hair right now. That's about it. I don't typically wear hats in the house, but you gotta look good for your audience, and I certainly don't look good without a hat on my head right now. So you gotta do what you gotta do. I don't know. I mean, I'll let I'm not gonna ask you anyway. I'll ask other people maybe. I'll probably send it to my mother and ask her what she thinks.
As my mother, as I said.
Yeah.
My mother might give this a listen. So shout out, Mom. Sorry about Neil. He can be a bit rude at times. I don't know why he's bringing you into this.
Well, what I was gonna say is,
you going right in the face again, bro.
I sent this to my mom and dad, and huh?
Is it hot in
there
again,
I'm genuinely sweating. I'm telling you. But anyway, my mom texted me and she was like, I tried to give it a listen, but there was just so much swearing and I couldn't fight through it. And I was like, I did warn you there was a lot of swearing. And then Sam's mom called this morning as well, and she was like, yeah, listen, how's it going? I was like, I'm really, really sorry in advance for the amount of swearing that you'll hear in it. It's like the words, or there are certain words in America and Ireland or Irish societies that just are used very, very differently. And yeah, she just didn't make any comments. So if we offend anyone with our language, I don't give a fuck. But yeah, unfortunately, when our mother's listening, I'm sure they're slightly disappointed in us. But they were anyway, so who cares?
Shout out to the moms. Shout out to Rita, my OG, and Moira Rosser, if you're listening, what a woman. Respect. Anyway, driving on. Let's get some violence. Well, yeah. So we have the card that was kind of announced for May 9th, or proposed to be announced for May 9th, whatever the fuck that means.
Yeah.
But I think they're the matchups that have been targeted, and apparently 80 to 85% that have been contacted by the media have said yes, I'm in. I'm just yet to sign. But I think the contracts won't officially go out to be signed until everything is finalized. So I'm sure we'll have an update on that very quickly, if not today. You know how fucking MMA is. So could be today, could be Monday or something, but I'm sure we'll hear something like that soon, given it's only 3 weeks away. It's kind of weird though, because you got to assume that pretty much every fighter, you know, it certainly hasn't had a full normal camp.
Yeah, I was just about to say, you really, really have to feel for fighters in this sort of situation, because, you know, I know if I was asked to fight in a fight card, I would say yes. You know, it wouldn't be an issue. But then it's like, shit, how am I going to prepare for this, knowing that there's a strong possibility that it gets cancelled? You know, which leads to my next point. Fucking Tony Ferguson making weight, even though he's going to be fighting again in 3 weeks' time. Like, you know, it's fucking Tony Ferguson. You can expect that sort of madness and just completely illogical behavior. But I mean, props to him. He did it. But like, if he's fighting again in 3 weeks' time, like, how much of an effect is that going to have on him? You know, he's not going to.
25-pound weight cut or 22-pound weight cut, like a serious weight cut.
Fucking crazy. Like, what? Like, why do that to yourself? You know, it's like, we get it. You're fucking crazy. You're batshit crazy. Like, we understand that, Tony. But like, take care of yourself, man. Like, you have a lot of fucking fans who want to see you fight, want to see you fucking, particularly fight Khabib. And like, every MMA fan wants to see that fight. You know, it's like the fight that's got away for so long now, so many years. And, you know, and if he goes up against Gaethje, like, that's a tough matchup. And if he's cut weight twice, like, he's so susceptible to knockout in that sort of condition. So
yeah, that's what I'm worried about. Is it's not going to do his chin any favor.
And it's not like he doesn't get tagged as it is, you know. Like, this Tony is somebody who's got rocked in, you know, many of his previous fights, and, you know, against Gaethje, you know, Gaethje's going to land something.
Again, yeah, he's been rocked by lesser punchers.
Yes. Yeah, 100%. I mean, I always think of the Venata fight, you know, and I think Venata's a lot better than what. Yeah, Pettis as well. Yeah, I mean, Pettis had a.
Pettis got power, but still, he doesn't have Justin Gaethje power.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, that's the thing. So like, he's potentially putting himself through 2 weight cuts, and sizable ones at that. You know, it's brainless. I mean, I don't know what his plan is now. I mean, is he gonna maybe go up 10 to 15 pounds and cut that to make it easier for himself the second time, or is he gonna go back up to his natural weight and do it all again in 2 weeks' time? Like, yeah, I mean, I have no idea what he was thinking.
Yeah, it's well, hopefully 3 weeks is enough time that it's not like he did it and then he's doing it next weekend. He's got 3 weekends, but it's still just the madness of Tony Ferguson. We were talking about it on episode 1. He's a fucking lunatic. He's insane. He's a total psychopath. So, but yeah, like you mentioned there that the fight that we want to see is him and Khabib, but I don't think there's anyone that's upset that Ferguson and Gaethje's book. That is a fight that I think pretty much everyone wants to see.
Well, I think there's a lot of people upset only because everyone wanted to see Tony and Khabib. You know, it was like, this is the fucking 5th time being booked. I mean, you think about our excitement. We were supposed to be at it in what, 6 hours time, 7 hours time. I mean, this is also the 2nd time I've had tickets for it. The first was Barclays, when McGregor ruined the card by throwing the dolly through the bus.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So I was supposed to, you know, the twice that it's been happening in New York, I've had tickets for it, and you know, fucking hell, they can't. Like, honestly, I'm scared if they rebook this a 6th time, because 5 fucking times, and the 5th time COVID happened. Like, honestly, Thanos is coming down in the 6th time, clicking his fingers and getting rid of one of them just to fuck with us. Like, seriously.
Or Godzilla. Godzilla's gonna just
pull his
head out of the fucking water outside New York.
Yeah, there's seriously, it's just like this fight, like, just no one, whoever's up there does not want it to fucking happen, you know? But anyway, yes, I think for the most part, there's obviously so much has gone on if I was to pick a second fight, you know, behind Tony and Khabib, it's Tony and Gaethje. Like that is as good as a close second as it's gonna be.
Well, speaking of the second fight, speaking of the fight behind Tony and Gaethje, the one that was announced since our last episode is Henry Cejudo and Dominic Cruz.
Yeah, I'm very, very, very
interested to see that fight. Yeah. So Dominic Cruz has been out a long time again, but it didn't deter him the last time. I watched him versus TJ Dillashaw this week. Funny enough, right? Because I'm a massive, or I'm not sure how I feel about him at the moment. I used to be the biggest TJ Dillashaw fan in the world, right?
Well, we both were.
Yeah.
We
was
both
crazy
were.
for him, and I think we
went to that card together. Remember?
Yeah. Exactly. It's the same KO'd by Cejudo, but it's funny because at the time I would have scored that fight for Dillashaw, but on watching it back, I think it was pretty obvious that Cruz won that fight. Now that Dillashaw,
I was the same as well.
My subconscious bias is vanished.
No, I was the same as well. I thought on the night, it was certainly. I never thought it was a robbery. I thought it could have gone either way, but I thought Dillashaw was the better of the two watching it live. But yeah, when I watched it the second time, I was like, do you know what? I think Cruz probably did enough to win that decision. But yeah, I'm concerned for Cruz. I think, you know, I'm not really sure he's fought anyone like Cejudo before. He has, but I think Cejudo is
completely on the opposite side of the fence here. Funnily enough, we're not agreeing. I think this is a horrendous matchup for Cejudo. I think this is a
I don't at all. I think everyone completely undervalues how good Cejudo actually is because he's such a fucking stupid prick.
No. I definitely know how good he is, but I know how long and rangy Dominic Cruz is. Like TJ Dillashaw couldn't get near him, and TJ Dillashaw is a way longer man than Henry Cejudo. I just think Cejudo really struggles to get on the inside. Like we know how elusive Dominic Cruz is, and I think Cejudo's backup is wrestling. Dominic Cruz is an incredible defensive wrestler. So it's I still favor Cejudo. Don't get me wrong, mainly because of Dominic's inactivity. But stylistically, assuming Cruz is 100%, I think this is a fucking really, really tough matchup for Cejudo.
It's honestly, it's a great fight, and I don't disagree with what you're saying. That said, I think Cejudo has come on in leaps and bounds, particularly getting inside of that range.
Yeah.
You know, you think to when Mighty Mouse finished him, like how much he's come on since that. And I think it's mostly been in his stand-up. You know, he's always got that wrestling there, and his fight IQ is very, very good. So that's what I'm most interested in that fight is you're looking at both of these guys, and they're both geniuses inside there. You know, there's no like ego. There's no like I want to stand and bang. There's like I want to win this fight with the tools that I know how to utilize. So I think that's going to be really, really good. That'll be like a chess match. I feel they'll probably feel each other out initially. I think Cejudo definitely carries more power, punching power. That is. But yeah, I think it is very, very important to see who kind of controls the range, because for me personally, I thought that someone like Dillashaw, whose movement, particularly his footwork, is so good. And Cejudo didn't have any problem getting inside and clipping it, and he clipped him early. So that was something both of us were like, what the fuck just happened? I had Dillashaw winning that fight comfortably on the night, and Cejudo whooped him. So also got to take that into consideration, and it was probably not the best of decisions. You should have fought at 135. But yeah, it's a great fight. I've got Cejudo slightly. I'd go with Cejudo. I have no idea how.
I think probably doing the same, but I would not be shocked at all with the upset. I made some good calls last year. Last year was a good call for me. My title picks. I called Usman over Woodley. There's a couple of other ones. I got Volkanovski over Holloway. Like I called both of them. This is a similar enough situation. I wouldn't be shocked.
did. I remember Max and Ortega though, and both yourself and Dara both went against me, and both had Ortega.
I don't think I picked Ortega for that.
Maybe it was Dara then, but I remember getting into a full blown argument over that.
Yeah, maybe D. Yeah. No, I was. I didn't see anyone really beating Max until I saw Volkanovski KO Mendez and then beat
Yeah.
Aldo, and I was like, right, this guy can do it.
Well,
But I don't think anyone else's featherweight beats Max. I don't think Zabit beats Max. Yeah, I don't think Yair beats Max. I just don't think there's anyone really at featherweight that beats Max apart from Volkanovski. I don't think Max.
And I've seen a lot of people picking Yair over Max, and I'm like, where are you getting that from? I don't understand how anyone
could win. He could win.
I mean, yeah, sure, but you could say that about any single fight. I mean, for me, I would go with Holloway 8 or 9 times out of 10 against Yair. And I think the Watts is a unique KO.
The dark horse X factor at featherweight is what's his name? Well, actually, there's kind of
Korean Zombie.
Yeah, there's like an outsider dark horse, and then there's a serious dark horse, and that's the Korean Zombie. I think the Korean Zombie can beat anyone on any given night. I would favor Volkanovski and Max against him. But I wouldn't be surprised if Zombie can win. I'm crazy to see him versus Ortega. But the other outsider, the outside dark horse is Calvin Kattar, man. He's nasty.
Calvin Kattar's a beast. Yeah. He's a beast. Yeah.
He puts the beat close as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's an outside dark horse for me.
If that fight was, I mean, everyone was kind of complaining about that fight only being 3 rounds because it was a main event, and apparently Zabit was like, I've trained for a 3-round fight. I'm not fighting in a 5-round fight, and that's what everyone's saying. It's like Zabit he's flashy. His technique is brilliant. Like he's clearly a very, very, very skillful man, but he struggled to keep that kind of consistency and pace for 3 rounds. So, if he fights somebody like Max in 5 rounds, who's known to get stronger and his cardio lasts forever, like he's in for a horrible, horrible 4th and 5th round, in my opinion. And Volk's the same. Volk's got an endless gas tank. So is Korean Zombie. So yeah, that division's just like all sorts of fun. And, to your point, like anyone can beat anyone on any given day. It's that top 5 is one of the best in the UFC. What's the most stacked division? Do you think it's lightweight? I mean, welterweight's incredibly good now as well. That's a serious division.
I think it's still lightweight at the minute. Yeah, I think it's still lightweight. Well, on lightweight, same night, May 9th, Cerrone is back against Pettis. That apparently is all but signed as well. So that's a rematch.
Is that at 155 or 170?
Actually 170, I think it is.
Yeah.
I think it's at 170. They seem to be getting a bit looser with where they're letting people fight between 155 and 170. Like that's probably another fight that's just no weight cutting. But
I suppose Cerrone's been doing it for a while now, where he's bounced around the divisions.
Why bother?
Similar enough to Pettis too. But yeah, I mean that fight's obviously a weird one. I think 170 probably favors Cerrone, particularly after their first fight. Given what happened with the body shot that you mentioned earlier on, I think. Yeah, I don't know though. That's a toss of the coin, really. I think my gut feel I'd say Cerrone. But if Pettis wins and he knocks him out, Cerrone's got to retire. He can't keep just getting fucking beaten up by these guys. Yeah. I mean, he's a legend. I love Cerrone so much. Like if there was anyone I could get a beer with in the UFC, like it's that man. Like I absolutely love him. But I don't want to see him get hurt anymore, like he folds, it's not like trying, like he tries to stay in it. He just goes down, he gets rocked and he goes down and kind of gets finished from there. Like you see, I don't know if you've noticed this, but like the amount of times he's been hurt in such a similar fashion, like you think of RDA, you think of when Till rocked him, like he's not getting slept and going out cold. He's actually got a better chin than what most people make out. He gets dropped and then he kind of like fends with his arms and gets stopped. Like the ref has no other option. So
Yeah.
I hope Pettis doesn't do that again.
Well,
They're two fighters though that
Pettis is on the downward spiral as well, man. He's not.
Yeah.
He's losing left and right. So like, it's Pettis is one that always interests me. I'm like, did something change mentally, or has the game caught him up? Because he was the fucking man back in like 2014. So
yeah,
I'm like, but he's still not a million miles away. He's still winning some fights. He knocked out Wonder Boy, and then I'm like, but then he loses to like Nate Diaz. How do you knock out Stephen Wonderboy Thompson and you lose to Nate Diaz?
Yeah.
That doesn't make any sense. I mean, not that it doesn't make sense, but like if you can KO Stephen Thompson, you'd assume you could beat Nate Diaz, but I don't know.
I mean, and Stephen Thompson doesn't really get knocked out. He loses decisions, close decisions, but no one's ever finished him in that fashion. But I think it's definitely the latter of the 2 points that you made. I think the sport has caught him up. I think, the kind of flashy, unique, versatile striker, there's like 6 versions of that now in the lightweight division. It's not like Anthony Pettis was so different initially. You had a lot of very technically sound people like Benson, for example. He was technically very, very sound, but, you weren't really in fear of having your light switched out. And then Pettis was coming in and knocking people out. He finished the fight however he wanted. And now, like, the division's just so much better than that he can't do that anymore. And that's why, he wins one fight, loses 2, or wins 2 and then loses his next 2. So I think he's a perfect example, actually, of how far the sport of MMA has come, how much it's evolved, because, 6 years ago, the guy was a stud. He was one of the best to ever do it. And now he's like, he's a gatekeeper for the top 10. Is that like, that's how I would describe him. Still love watching him fight, don't get me wrong. And like, he's capable of pure excitement for
I think Pettis has a couple of, sorry, not to cut across here. I've always said that, like, same as like Diaz, they have a couple of fights on the way out, a couple of big fights that they can book on the way out. And I've always said that Pettis and Cerrone rematching is a fight that they can do on the way out for both of them. Like the McGregor-Diaz fight, right? 4 years' time, when they're both on the way out, they can always have a trilogy. That's the same thing. It's in the same bracket. It's not as big a fight, obviously, Pettis and Cerrone, but it's the exact same thing, right? It's a fight that's always there that can be done again, but in my opinion is on the way out for. It's like, oh yeah, neither of them are really going anywhere at this point. Let's throw them together and see what happens. And then one of them wins, might have a comeback.
Yeah, they're 2 UFC legends, like, why not make that fight at the end of their career and see what happens? It's still going to be exciting. I'm still going to watch and probably thoroughly enjoy that fight. It's not going to be like, they're not going to feed each other out. They're going to try and finish each other and have bragging rights. And I'm also going with Cerrone in that scrap, because I think he'll want to avenge that first loss. So, I'm excited to see it. I would imagine it's probably going to be a mostly stand-up contest. So, I'm excited to see that.
It's like it's a good time era-wise to be an MMA fan. It's not the best time now. Well, it's not a great time now to be a fucking fan of anything or doing anything, or everyone's just stuck in the house. But it should be. I'm 100% confident that MMA will kick off before most major sports.
Yeah.
So I do think that, obviously, I've been a fan for a very long time, and I've seen the sport grow. But I think this period in MMA history that we're about to go into, where we're back on live events, be it UFC, Bellator, or whatever, there's fights most Saturdays, particularly given that the UFC now have to cram in the cards that they've missed and postponed into the remaining weekends of the year. Get them all in the schedule, because if the UFC don't get all their fights in, they don't make that 750 million person ESPN at the end of the year. So I think we're about to head into the biggest growth era in MMA history, because everyone's going to be at home, and the people that might typically have been spending their money on boxing or would have been watching whatever, ball and stick sport or ball sport, and none of them are back, will now be buying UFC pay-per-view. So I think the sport could be set to absolutely fucking explode over the next 6 or 9 months, depending on, will we get back quick? Will we not? You know, I think globally we'll start to get back to normality in a kind of a tiered basis. Some countries before others, but I think we're going to pick up some serious fans, especially if the UFC are putting on fight cards like on May 9th, because there's 3 title fights and Donald Cerrone versus Anthony Pettis, Francis Ngannou versus Jairzinho Rosenstruck. Like we haven't even talked about Amanda Nunes versus Spencer. Like that's the 3rd title fight. There's 3 fucking title fights card if it goes ahead in May 9th. I don't think there's too much to be said for Nunes Spencer, to be honest. I think it's just Nunes going to eat someone alive again. I expect that fight to then be a finish. Nothing against Spencer. I just think Nunes is a fucking, I don't know, she's some sort of uber female. She just walks through people. I expect her to be the champion for as long as she wants to be the champion.
It's also like she's so well rounded, you know, like when you think back to like Rousey, you know, during her spell of dominance, she was doing it with judo and then submitting people. You know, it's so straightforward for her because she was at such a high level. But I mean, Nunes she's a judo brown belt. I'm almost sure she's a black belt in jiu-jitsu, and she's got the best stand-up.
Yeah, she's a serious black belt in jiu-jitsu.
This is what I mean. Like, you know, you saw that against the Randomie. You know, she took her down, wrestle fucked her, which probably no one saw that coming, you know, and won the fight. Like she can beat anyone however the fuck she wants in that division, the division below, the division, you know, it's just crazy. She's a freak of nature. So yeah, I don't see anyone. The girls just don't carry enough power in that division either. You know, there's very few people that I would be worried about, you know, who has knocked 3 or 4 people out.
There are a couple. Ketlin Vieira now is kind of slipping around the outside there. She could pose a threat maybe in time. But that's probably the only one, man, to be honest. She's nasty. Ketlin Vieira is absolutely nasty. But other than that, I don't really see any sort of threat, to be honest.
I would pick
Shevchenko again, but I don't want to see that 3rd fight, to be honest. Maybe I'm the only one. People have been talking about it, but Amanda's 2-0.
Yeah.
And the 2nd fight was shit.
Well, I mean, the second fight, there's a lot of people, probably including myself, that think Shevchenko won that fight. Yeah, so it goes to show you how fucking good Shevchenko is, though. Like, it really does, because that's the only one that's really given Nunes a match in the last 5 years.
She's too small, and there's no shame in it, right? She lost twice to a way bigger woman. Amanda Nunes fought and won, KO'd Chris Cyborg at 135. Shevchenko could probably get to 115 with a severe cut. They're 2 completely different women. You know? Yeah. Amanda Nunes is bigger, so I don't know. I don't want to see that 3rd fight, to be honest. I get it. There's no one else to fight, but I'd rather see Shevchenko just murder bitches for the next 10 years. You know?
Yeah, just let them line them up. Dominate. You know, let them dominate in their own division. You know, at their natural weights. Let them do it, and then, you know, hopefully in a couple of years' time we get some new kind of blood in. Like, this is exactly what happened in both of the female divisions. You know, Joanna Jędrzejczyk looked as if she was never gonna lose. That division is now stacked. You know, you've just had one of the best fights ever with Zhang and Joanna, you know, so it goes to show how much that division has improved. And
can we talk about how much of a dick rider, Joanna dick rider you are?
Oh, I'm a huge
absolutely crazy for Joanna.
I was absolutely. Well, keep in mind, you know, when you meet somebody, you know, you become good friends. You know, it's like she's never like acknowledged the friendship, but you know, in my mind, we're good buds. You know, we took a picture together. She spoke to me for 2 minutes, and you know, how can you not love that? You know,
but no, in fairness, scored like her last 3 fights for her when she's lost all 3 of them. Her last 3 unanimous decisions you've scored for her. We'll never get Neil Vorser a fucking MMA judging job anyway. That's definitely not happening.
Look. Yeah, not when Joanna's she's been in 3 exceptionally good fights, you know, and she lost comfortably to Shevchenko. That was
I
didn't make any argument
for that. Meltdown there for a second, bro. Sorry, I think you might have gone full robot mode there and missed you, but. Sorry, it said not when Joanna's involved, and then it went all weird for a second. That seems to be fine.
Yeah, I was saying I can't be a judge when Joanna is involved, but Yeah, she definitely lost to Shevchenko, like absolutely. I think she had a case against Rose in the rematch. I thought that was a very, very close fight and could have gone either way. And I think Joanna just outlanded her, although Rose fought a very, very good fight. And then against Zhang, I think that was more just the absolute state of her face, and I wanted her to win so badly. But again, that fight could have gone either way.
That one could have gone either way, definitely. That one was 100% either way. Yeah, I'm looking forward to that rematch whenever that happens. We have a crazy year ahead of us, man. From May 9th onwards, it's going to be violence after violence after violence. It's going to be a conveyor belt of fucking bodies hitting the floor.
Yeah. So actually, you were talking about it, and like how much of an opportunity this is. I don't understand why Dana wouldn't halve the pay-per-view price or even do it for free. Get your viewership through the roof. And I'm telling you, like, if there's no other sport on, the amount of people that would tune in and watch that, like, it would break their gates by a mile, even without McGregor.
But he doesn't have to, right? He doesn't have to reduce the price. People are going to buy it anyway. Plus, when you were here, right, and me and Dee can speak to this, they keep changing. Like, it's free on BT, and then they're like, oh no, we've changed the TV contract, now you got to pay for it. And we're like, fuck's sake, we got to pay for the fights. Now we got to pay for fights because it was free. So if you push something out there for free and then you want to charge people get a bit more, like, fuck you. But if you're paying for it anyway, and then you just get back to normal, like, think about, people are probably on reduced salaries and unemployment and stuff like that now. If people are scraping together some money to get a pay per view, when they have a job, it'll be a lot easier to afford a pay per view again.
Well, that's kind of the thing, though, and
the economy's.
I feel like for the most part, I think MMA for the most part is probably it's probably more white collar, of a following. There's I would imagine there's very few kind of CEO or exec level type employees that are like, oh, I can't wait to watch people beat the living shit out of each other this weekend. I feel like it's more of a and look, you'd be surprised. I'm sure there's plenty of people that are very, very much that way inclined, but I think, the overall following is more white collar. So, a lot of those people have, there's a strong chance that a lot of those people have lost their job, or, they're kind of been made redundant until this stuff comes back. And, you will lose those fans by then charging money if they can't afford it, and like
but
it's
always cost what it costs, you know what I mean? So, like, they're not going to be I can't believe they're upping the price. They're not upping the price. They're just leaving the price. I don't know. If it's me, I'm definitely leaving the price. I wish I was running the UFC. That could be the end goal, I suppose. Sign me up. Give me the UFC presidency after Daniel Cormier. Daniel Cormier can be UFC president there for about 10, 15 years. I'll take over after him.
That'll be he'd be a good one. Him or Chael. Could you imagine Chael running the UFC?
You can't do Chael, man. You can't do Chael. Chael's fucking been popped for steroids left and right. I don't know how he got a job on ESPN, to be honest. He's brilliant. He's got a great personality, so I understand how he got a job on ESPN. But how many bands did the man have, and how fucking jacked up and roided was he going into those Anderson Silva fights? Like, the man is a PED user, admittedly. He covers the sport that he cheated in for years. I like him. I listen to his content. But I don't know how he got that fucking job. You can't make him the president of the UFC. He's a PED user, a regular, or a previously regular PED user. So, I don't know.
And Dana White just brings in women abusers to headline cards, like Greg Hardy, with Ostovich, who was literally just in a domestic abuse.
Yeah, I forgot about all that.
Assault, like. So don't come at me with this fucking shit. I'd much rather buy into somebody who's used steroids than Dana, who fucking advocates women beating.
Greg Hardy's never going to be president of the UFC either. We're not talking about fighting, right?
Nah, like, I'm using the example. I'm using the example of Chael hasn't covered himself in grace, but Dana has far from done that himself. Put it that way. Anyway, we haven't talked about Tony Justin.
Well, I suppose we kind of did, but that's the fight. That's the fight. Yeah, we haven't talked about your hair. I'd like to see your hair, man. To be honest, just at this point, I'd
You're
like to
not
see
seeing
take
it.
that
No
fucking
shot.
hat off and
No
understand
shot.
what's going on under there.
It looks a little bit like yours, except I've got like an extra 1.5 inches on my forehead.
Can you see the amount of grey hairs I'm getting? And then stuck at home. No, not really. I was grey anyway. Now that I have long hair, longish, my grey hairs are showing unbelievably. So yeah, I think I'm just gonna. A couple of people have shaved their heads. I think I'm gonna keep growing the hair and get to Aragon in Lord of the Rings 1. That's the end goal. I think Lord of the Rings.
That's a good looking man.
I know.
It's a good looking man.
I won't. I'm not gonna pull off the looks, but I might be able to pull off the hair. That's the plan. But yeah. I actually, funnily enough, that you're bringing up Ferguson and Gaethje again. I was watching. There's a video of Tony Ferguson's highlights on The Ultimate Fighter on YouTube. It's like a half an hour, and it's like just his bits from the season. And it's kind of weird, man. He was pretty normal back then. He was like, he wasn't like that normal. Like he had oddness about him, but he was nowhere near the lunatic he is now. Like he was just normal, He was like, I want to get in there, we're working on my hands. I've got good jiu-jitsu and looking forward to this fight. Hopefully I wins the fight. And he's like, great, on to the next round, Nothing crazy. He just, he was quiet in the house, slept in his bed, got his training done. But far cry from the fucking psychopath we have at the moment. But I tell you what, did you see McGregor going back and forth and laughing at him for making weight and all that? That's a fight I want to see at some point. I'm more interested in McGregor and Ferguson, to be honest, than I am in McGregor and Khabib too.
Well, yeah. Oh, sorry. Yes, I get what you mean. I thought you meant you prefer to see McGregor fight Khabib first. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. That's a way more exciting fight. But I think, I think McGregor's got to be favored in that. I think Tony probably struggles against McGregor. Yeah.
Yeah, tough matchup stylistically. Very tough matchup stylistically. But don't forget those knee bar rolls that Tony would have hit against Edson Barboza, who is not similar to McGregor, but he's a stand-up striker. It's a bad matchup for Tony. Tony hitting knee bar rolls out of nowhere several times in that fight. So I don't know. It's a tricky one, but any crack in New York anyway? I know it's not MMA related, but obviously Trump's talking about opening the economy back up. What's the general feel in New York City?
I think most people are like, that's way too fucking soon. Like we haven't even flattened the curve yet. It's a very, very dangerous time to open things back up. So I'm definitely in that boat. Again, like I've said this to everyone. I couldn't care less if I got coronavirus. I would imagine that I would be, I would be fine within a week or two. And there's a possibility that I had it. I mentioned like a couple months ago, or maybe 6 or 7 weeks ago, when this kind of started to break out. I had a cold. It was a little bit worse than the common cold. And then Sam also got a cold, and she got quite bad. She had bronchitis, but neither of us had fever or anything. And both of us went to the doctor, and testing wasn't available. It was just like, oh, you're fine. Stay inside. Don't leave. But there was no kind of, you may have this, you need to stay inside. It was just like, oh, you've got a common cold or you have bronchitis, and that was it. Having a cough during this, like we both should have been tested. So, there's no way of knowing if we actually had it or not. Anyway, we just did we did what we should do and stayed inside, for 2 weeks to make sure we got better and didn't potentially spread it to anyone else. And that was it. But like the thing now, even if you start getting 25% to 50% of the workforce back in, the amount of people that you're putting at risk outside of that, that's where the problem comes in. So, we haven't flattened the curve or even got close to it. We're still seeing a huge amount of cases every single day. So, ideally should be, on the downward spiral before trying the whole kind of phase or phasing back into society. But look, I get it from, I get it to a certain degree of, getting things back in order, because, the kind of working class will suffer the longer this goes on. And yeah, the only thing is I think most people see through Trump. Like, that's not what he cares about. He doesn't give a shit. He just wants to be able to say that the economy has done very, very well under him during his time, and he's doing better than other countries. Like, he doesn't actually care about getting people back to work and making sure they're okay. He cares about what his numbers look like and getting the U.S. economy back in shape for other countries. That's what he cares about. So, yeah. Anyway, I
don't think I had coronavirus, but I'm aware that there's a possibility I may have had coronavirus, because we had a couple of the girls from the office go to Italy in like
shit. Yeah, you told me this. Yeah,
I'm not sure what date exactly they went to Italy, but when they came back, they were in like Lombardy and Rome, and I think there was three of them at the office. They were in like Lombardy, Rome, Pisa, those kind of places. They were there for like 4 days. And when they came back, there was like 4 of us from the office, which is about 30% of the office, 25% of the office, got really horrendously sick, and I was dying for 10 days. So I've literally, I've never taken a sick day in 6 years, nearly 6 years. I was off for 10 days. I had an unbelievable fever. I had like night sweats. Like, I woke up, the bed was soaking because I was sweating so bad.
Shit, you had a fever? I thought it was more of a stomach thing. I didn't know you had the fever, bro. That sounds fucking just like COVID.
No, I had a fever for 6 days. I had a really, really bad cough that I couldn't shake. Couldn't really stay awake. They put me on a really heavy codeine cough bottle to shake the cough. Nurofen for my headache, which you're not supposed to take Nurofen apparently if you do have COVID-19. And then just some antibiotic for like a flu. So I might have had the common flu. I might have had a bad dose of the common flu. I've only had the flu once before, and it was bad, but this was the sickest I've ever been. It was probably the flu, but there's a chance it might have been El
that sounds like COVID, bro. I'm pretty sure you had the COVID. You had the Rona from the sounds of things. Particularly because I know you and you don't get sick that much. So the fact that they came out from Italy and then you got sick right after that, you 100% had the Rona.
Probably.
Which means you can't get it again. So yeah, go out and fucking party and live your life.
I'll take that. If I don't know what the deal is with the like, if I did have it in February, if I get tested now, do they test for antibodies, is it? And then I can find out if I have had it and I no longer have it. Is that like a possible test right now, or is that not? Can they just
so I think so, yes, because I think that's what the US are trying to do. They're trying to make, I think it's like 100,000 antibody tests a day to establish, like, the workers that essentially need to go back to work, like they can test them, see if they've had it, and if they built up immunity to it, and then essentially if they have, they can go back to work and not potentially affect anyone because they've had it. It's left their system, and they can't, they're not a carrier anymore. So and like that's the way forward in my opinion. But you need to test fucking everyone, or huge pools of people, in order to make that work.
You look like you have coronavirus.
I might do in this room. Honestly, it's about fucking 87 degrees in here.
Why have you got a hoodie on that?
I don't know, honestly.
You're sweating because you've got about 4 inches of fur on the top of your head. You fucking walrus.
Yeah, well, and a fucking hat to conceal the heat. But anyway, yeah. Oh shit! One last thing. So Alex Pereira, the only man to knock Israel Adesanya out, there's talks of him coming over to the UFC. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, has he had? I'm going to be honest now. I haven't. I know he has an extensive kickboxing career, and I know he's knocked out. I know he's beaten Izzy twice, right? Second time by KO. But has he had any MMA fights at this point? And if so, how many and where? Against what competition? Let me have a look at.
Honestly, I can't give you the answer to that. I would imagine he probably has trained MMA for to an extent, because I don't think you can make a switch that late in your career, because I think he's in his early 30s. So But honestly, does it matter all that much? Because I mean, Adesanya showed you come in as an elite level kickboxer, and like you can be okay in the UFC. He just needs to have the
Yeah.
fundamentals down of,
Well,
takedown defense is essential, because I mean he's so good, technically in a kickboxing perspective, that it's not that dissimilar from Izzy. Even though I think Izzy's like takedown defense and overall grappling game is very underrated. Not to say that I think he's elite. I just think he's got a very, very decent basis to work off of. And then he's obviously got such a high level of striking ability that's why he's had the success he's had. So if Pereira was to come in and try and emulate that, then I'm sure he'd be fucking terrifying.
he's I'm just like my thoughts on Alex Pereira coming in is Izzy broke off from kickboxing like 8 years ago, 7 years ago. He
Yeah.
came into the UFC at 12, 13 and 0. He's now 19 and 0. Like he's a 19-0 champion, which by the way is not talked. I know his last fight was dog shit, but Khabib is 28 and 0 and undefeated champion. Amazing, right? Izzy's nearly 20 and 0.
Yeah.
But my concern about Pereira is he's given himself like a 7-8 year run to get his jiu-jitsu down, to get his defensive wrestling, his offensive wrestling, adjust his positioning from kickboxing to MMA, stand up. Alex Pereira is certainly trying to make the transition at a much later time. So how's his wrestling going to adjust? But I mean, look, I'll take a world-class kickboxer in the UFC anytime, any day. Absolutely. That makes for some serious matchups, especially at middleweight as well. Hopefully he can crack the top 15 pretty quickly. So yeah.
Middleweight, one of those divisions as well. Like if he was coming in and joining the welterweight division, he wouldn't be top 5. And I don't think he'd ever be top 5. Obviously, he's way bigger than that, but I only use that example because the welterweight division has so many exceptionally good wrestlers. If he was joining, or if he was coming into a division like that, then he'd struggle. But he's coming into a very striker-heavy division. At least from my perspective, you've got obviously Adesanya, who's the champion, who he's fought before. You've got Whitaker, who, although has a good wrestling, both offensive and defensive wrestling game, he's somebody who likes to stand up and trade. Romero, who I don't know why anyone, I actually tweeted about this recently, like Romero just doesn't wrestle. Like he doesn't. Like he stands and wants to trade. Like he wants to have a fist fight. So what's the point of calling him this elite wrestler when he doesn't use it in MMA? He doesn't use it in the octagon. So I think there's some very, very good. There's some very good potential matchups against people that he could definitely beat unless they wanted to wrestle with him.
I did some Googling there, right? So he has an MMA record of 2-1, and he hasn't had an MMA fight since 2016. So, yeah. The UFC might sign him because the fact that he's KO'd Adesanya sells itself. But I don't expect him to have a stellar career in the UFC at this point. I don't know how old he is, so that's one thing I'd like to see. If he's still young enough.
He's early 30s, I think. Isn't he's 33 or 34 or something like that, I think?
He's a fucking animal anyway. He's a terrifying.
Oh, he's a...
Yeah. No, I don't know. I don't know how old he is, but yeah. Well, listen, we've just gone. I think we've just gone about an hour. Try and until we get our video editing sorcery off the ground and start putting a bit more structure, and I get my sound improvements on. I think this will be the last one that we do that I won't have my microphone. So bye shit audio. Yeah, bro, we just done an hour, so look, we can wrap it up at any point. But good to get the second one done, and hopefully soon enough we'll have a couple of nice guests on to join us. I think within the next week or two we're going to have somebody on. Not unclear as of right now who that is, but we'll soon have a couple of three-way screen grabs or three-way podcasts going on, and hopefully some good interviews with some pros. So plenty to look forward to.
Absolutely. yeah, if anyone's listening and you made it this far, congratulations. And I don't think I'm gonna make it this far watching it back. So yeah, got a few exciting weeks coming up. Both our social media accounts. I handle the Twitter and Ben handles the Instagram, as I'm sure you know. We've had a lot of support on that. So thank you for everyone for all the love. We got to this very, very late, probably 3 years later than we should have. So yeah, it's been encouraging that, we've had a lot more people kind of listen in and anticipated. So join in next week, and hopefully you'll meet our first guest.
Perfect. All right, brother. Go on. Good to see you.
All
Much
right.
love.
Peace, everyone.